Hello, how are you? I trust that you are good. Again, it's your career counselor and your life coach, Rostoben. I take this chance to welcome you into our today's lesson. And today's lesson, I want to discuss on how to get out of debts. How to get out of debts. But maybe before we do that, I wish to humbly request you that please, if you do watch my lessons, if you do watch my videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Rostoben, and also be able to follow me through my Facebook page Rostoben, and also on Instagram, Rostoben. Sorry for that. Now dive into today's lesson. Today I'm deriving my lessons from a book that I'm reading here. All right, I hope that you are able to see this book. It is titled The 7 Pillars of Financial Success, written by Murori Kiunga. The 7 Pillars of Financial Success, written by Murori Kiunga. And as I was reading this book, I got to have a few lessons here, but there is one that I feel that everyone should learn, a lesson that it's very, very paramount if you want to grow. You know, if you have been following me, you know that I'm very passionate on matters self-growth. All I do is to ensure that you grow and grow and grow. You know what? For nobody who should be living in poverty, and not until that you grow yourself that you happen to become the best and you quit from poverty. So today let us drive our lessons from this book by Murori Kiunga. If you have a chance, please go buy this book. I bought it from a bookshop. I can't recall how much I bought the book, but I know it's a good book that you can read, and it has so much information about financial success. So let's dive into it. How do you get out of debts? Number one, as per Murori Kiunga says, number one, accept that you have a problem of debts. A problem that is not only a problem to your own self, but it is also a big problem to your self-growth. It is also a big problem to your financial growth. You know what? That's the first step that you need to take if you want to get out of debts. Be ready to acknowledge it. That you know what? I know you, I got your debt. I know I have a debt from a bank. I know I have a debt from a friend. That's the first thing, and I need to clear this, because once you get a debt from anybody, the only solution to that is paying back your debts. So the first step, as per Murori Kiunga, accept that you are in problem of debts. Number two, when you get to understand and accept that you are already in problem, the next step that you do is to take inventory of your debts. You know, there are some of us who are into so many debts. You know, you go borrow a friend, then from a friend to another friend, from a friend to a bank, from a bank to, and you know, nowadays we have these mobile platforms that are lending money even without guarantors. You know, they are giving you some juicy loans, and you are tempted to get them. Maybe you have gotten yourself into this problem of debts. So get an inventory of your debts. Get to know that how much you owe, for example, Equity Bank, Cooperative Bank, KCB, if it is the mobile rendering mobile apps, I don't know. Get to know how much do you know who. Are you together? That's what we mean by taking an inventory of your debts. Are we good? Then on top of that, after you've gotten the inventory of your debts, then the next thing is to avoid getting into more debts. Avoid getting into more debts. That's the lesson number 3 that I'm learning from this book. By the way, all credits to Murori Kiunga. If you know him, tell him that Rostoben, the life coach, has acknowledged his work. Okay, it's a very, very informative book. It has great lessons, the 7 pillars of financial success. So as per the Murori Kiunga, the third lesson, if you want to get out of debts, don't get yourself into more debts. What do I mean by that? There are those of us who have the tendency of you borrow a friend to pay a debt. All right, together. So it's happened like it's a merry-go-round. You know, you borrow from a friend to pay a friend. You borrow from a friend to pay a friend. You borrow from this from this bank to pay a loan in another bank. Although I know banks have such a thing, but I think Murori is putting it clearly more than I would put it, that you know what? Don't get into more debts. Don't borrow to pay another debt, you know, because that is getting yourself into debts. Are you together? So you are just getting into more debts. Then once you've done that, remember lesson number 1, accept that you have the problem of debts. Lesson number 2, take an inventory of the debts that you have. Number 3, don't get into more debts. Don't get into more debts. And then number 4, as it is being put by Mr. Murori Kiunga in his book, The 7 Pillars of Financial Success, my dear friend, be ready to make a sacrifice. Every coin that you earn, be ready to make a sacrifice. You know, I understand that human beings like living into a certain class. You know, there is a class that I am already in. I want to live in a certain class, a class maybe of people who drive, and not only drive but drive big machines. Maybe I want to live in a class where, you know, all those classes that we do put for ourselves. So what we are being advised here, if you want to get out of that debt, be ready to sacrifice. What do you mean by that? If maybe you are used to driving to work, okay, be ready to sacrifice that money that you use to go to fuel your vehicle. Okay, just be ready to this time round use the public means, and if it is somewhere that you can walk, be ready to walk. You understand? So that the little that you will save from that, you put it together for you to be able to clear your debts. Are we together? If you are used to having maybe some good kind of a breakfast, and when I talk of good, this is what I mean. Maybe you are the kind of guy who have a breakfast, that a heavy breakfast, where you have a bread, maybe you have milk, you have cereals, and such manner of breakfast. Maybe you can sacrifice and say, instead of taking all this much, I need to sacrifice the money that I used to buy all these items, all these foodstuffs. I need to sacrifice and only have a bread and some maybe just a cup of tea, so that I save a little for me to be able to clear my debts. That's what we mean by being ready to sacrifice. On top of that, maybe I can also give this example. If you're the kind of guy who like maybe every weekend you have to go out with your family, maybe, or you have to go out and relax, you have to go out with friends, maybe. Are you together? Maybe you can sacrifice, and instead of going every weekend, okay, maybe you can just a suggestion, maybe you can go fortnightly. That is, this weekend you go, the other weekend you won't. That's what I mean. So that you save money, you sacrifice that, so that you get money to clear your debts. Maybe you are the kind of people who like to have what we call self-drive, or what do we call it, just driving along, and as you enjoy the nature and other things, new places and all that. So maybe you can save yourself from that also, so that the fuel fee, the money that you use to buy your fuel, maybe you can save it again to clear your debts. You understand what I mean? I'm sure that that point is home. All right, then on top of that, after you make yourself a few sacrifices, then make a budget. Make a budget. If you are like me, I would, and if you are not like me, I would like, maybe I would invite you to be, in a way, learn from me. Don't be like me, but borrow a leaf from me. I'm one of those people who like prioritizing. All right. Well, I don't make a budget as per se, write it down. That's not what I do. But for me, every money that gets into my hand, I first of all look into what is very urgent, that I cannot survive without. That's the first thing that I get to cater for. If whatever that I need is something that I can live without, or it's something that I can stay without, I get to question myself time and again. Do I really need it? And if I have to get it, how is it going to influence what I'm doing, or how is it going to be of benefit to what I'm doing? That's what I question myself. So before I get to buy something, I get to question. All right, I even consult. So here is the thing. All right, when you make your budget, when you are making your budget, is basically you are doing the same way. It's only that now this time round, as we are taught by Murori Kiunga from his book, The 7 Pillars of Financial Success, you can buy it, credit to him, is that you can write down what you require to buy. But as you write down, you need to question yourself again. How dire do you need that item? How badly do you need to buy what you are planning to buy? That's what we mean. So as you write down your budget, get to ask yourself, because remember what we said from the previous point, that you need to sacrifice so that you save as much as possible to be able to clear your debts. Are we together? So make a budget of the items that you need to buy, and as you make that budget, get to ask yourself, how much do you need this item? Is it something that you can forego? Is it something that you can work without? Okay, is it something that you can get a substitute for? That's what we mean. Then as you do that, Murori Kiunga tells us this, that once you do these things, slowly by slowly, you find yourself getting out of debts. Maybe it's going to take you a while, okay, depending on the much debt that you have. It is going to take you a while. Maybe it is going to take you an year. To others it may take them months. To others it may take them years. Regardless of how long it's going to take you, once you succeed to overcome those debts, once you succeed to pay all these debts, here is what Murori Kiunga ends up by telling us. He tells us that after that, develop an investment plan. Develop an investment plan. That you don't just end there. That from there, make a plan on how you are going to invest. Are we together? Because let me ask you a basic question, maybe because although it's not here. Why do you get into debts? Are you together? Maybe that's the first question I ought to have started with. But the reason as to why we get into debts, or you get into debts, is basically because you want to fulfill some desires. You need to fulfill some of your desires, and since you don't have money to fulfill that desire, that's the time now you go ahead and borrow. You understand? Everything is all about your own desires. Okay, for example, let me give you a good example for me just to validate that point. If you are employed maybe, and you happen to be commuting on daily basis, talk of 7 kilometers, okay, something like 7 kilometers also on daily basis, that on every day you have to commute 7 kilometers. So with the time, depending on how much you earn, you'll find that you are developing the desire of having your own machine, having your own vehicle for you to be driving to work. You understand this? That's it. So by that, it's a desire that you want. It's a desire that you have developed. It's a desire that is in you. And the only way to fulfill that desire is by buying yourself a vehicle. Right, together. And so maybe you look into your financial records or books, and not books, but status, and you realize that my bank can offer me a loan of maybe $1 million, and you go ahead and get that $1 million. Are you together? Why are you getting the $1 million? To buy your vehicle. Why are you getting the vehicle? To fulfill your desire. Maybe because you are getting tired of walking every morning, you are getting tired of using public means, and so on and so forth. So here is the point, that every time that you are getting into debt, most of the times you want to fulfill your desires. So as you think of the desires, then why can't you think of this way? What is that way? What we call exercising delayed gratification. Exercising delayed gratification. Let me tell you, when you exercise your delayed gratification, what do you mean by that? That you need, maybe for example, you need this book because Aristo Ben has recommended this book, The 7 Pillars of Financial Success, from Murori Kiunga. I have advised you to buy this book if you want to learn more about financial success, and you feel that you really need this book. Are we together? But you don't have the money, but you really feel you need this book. What does that mean? If you exercise delayed gratification, what that means is that you don't get the book right now. You wait until you plan for it. Until that time, you have the money to go buy the book. Why? Because this book is not getting away. I am sure. I'm sure Mr. Murori Kiunga, okay, wherever he is producing more books, and this is one of the books that he'll continue producing. So once you need it, you'll find it in the market. So why don't you just wait until when you get money, you buy the book? Do you understand? That's what I mean by delayed gratification. Okay, so my dear friend, for you to be able to work on your desires, I would recommend you think of exercising delayed gratification, which again, it's not an easy task, but it's very, very important if you want to grow yourself. So as I have said, today's lesson was on getting out of debts. Are you together? Credit to Mr. Murori Kiunga. I have gotten these lessons from his book, The 7 Pillars of Financial Success. My dear viewer, I recommend that you buy this book. Are you together? I can't remember how much I bought the book, but you buy yourself this book. Are you together? It's a very, very informative book if you want to experience a breakthrough maybe, or if you want to have a knowledge on your financial success. Are you together? All right, so that's the lesson for today. I do hope that you have learned. If you have learned, as I always keep saying, please pray for me. And on top of that, don't forget to subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend about what is happening in this channel. And until our next meeting, have yourself a good time. Thank you.